It's time for us to have a conversation on the SME segment of Wake Up Nigeria this morning. And with us is John Durojaye, also known as Camera Boss. He is a visionary photographer. And this morning, we'll be having a conversation not just with him, but with a very interesting personality as well. But first, how are you doing today, Olalekan Durojaye?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Awesome. It's good to have you in the studio with us.
It's good to be here. It's good to be. I mean, when I entered here, I said, you guys have a beautiful studio. And been listening to you speak online, I was like, damn, she's good. Wow.
Okay, so tell us about Camera Boss. But before you do so, I almost left out the distinguished guest I mentioned earlier, Gabriel Balogun, a business analyst. They'll be giving us some important nuggets this morning. So yes, Camera Boss, let's hear you.
Okay, for Camera Boss, I'm a digital artist, I'm a photographer, I do weddings, portraits and fashion. But over time, I mean, I'm now a digital artist. Having an exhibition, or I started my exhibition in Lagos yesterday. So it's running for 3 days, yesterday, today and tomorrow. Okay. And of course, I've exhibited in London, Bloomer Gallery, where I exhibited 2 of my artworks. And yeah, basically that's where I am now. But Camera Boss as a business started like 12 years ago when I was still in the university. Okay. So I started out as a business guy going into photography. Then through that, we've been able to metamorphose and become an international brand, sort of, yeah.
So as an international brand, of course, everyone looks to leverage and improve on their art, right? Yeah. I'm very curious because this question I'm about to ask you is what our business analyst will be giving us an answer to. Let's talk about self-discipline. Because to grow a business, you do need self-discipline. There are certain things you'd have to give up on, certain things you have to restrain yourself on. How have you been able to use that with your business?
Well, I would say if you're not disciplined, there's nothing essentially you can do. I mean, you cannot succeed in any field or any structure of life if you're not disciplined. As a husband, if you're not disciplined, you can't even succeed. Even in the basic things of life, as in education, going to school, you need a level of discipline to achieve some level of success. Yeah, absolutely. So as a photographer, there was a time I shoot every day for 60 days. So I do that every year. So it's like 60 days challenge. It's just a way for you to understand and own your craft because the more you practice, the more you do those things, the better. And with that in mind, you ought not to see that if you shoot every day for 60 days, it's not necessarily it's not easy. So you need a lot of discipline, a lot of dedication, a lot of willpower to be able to go through those 60 days and be shooting. So I was telling somebody yesterday at Asaba, I said, if I don't shoot a day, I feel something is missing, something like that. And that, I think, is a function of how I have built myself over the years. So it's more like if I'm not with my camera, I'm not doing something, I'm not shooting, I feel something is missing. It's more like when you don't brush your teeth in the morning. You go out in the afternoon, you can literally just feel something oozing
about you. Even if you don't feel anything oozing, you will just know that something is missing.
Really,
yeah. So the 60 days challenge, for how long have you been doing it?
So I stopped 2 years ago when I moved to UK. And the reason is to shoot in UK is now way more expensive than shooting in Nigeria. So 60 days challenge, I think I did that for 5 years back to back. Wow. Yeah, so I usually start first week of the year, that's in January, then run through March, run to like the first week of March and shoot through that way, or just through March that way.
When you say shooting in the UK is expensive, we'll talk about that after. But let's talk about self-discipline, Gabriel Balogun, and just how important it is in businesses.
Well, let me use the analogy of a vehicle, right? Think of motivation as the vehicle that will take you from your dreams to your results. Self-discipline is the fuel. Because at some point, that vehicle without the fuel will not move, right? So while you always need motivation to start, you need self-discipline to sustain it.
Absolutely.
So you can watch some of the best speakers in the world motivate you to start the business. And you can actually start the business. But imagine running a business in Nigeria, and then every week you're dealing with uncertainty, with the volatile market. If there is no discipline, that vehicle will break down.
True.
Right? So that's the importance of self-discipline. It's as simple as that.
Now, for a business owner who is trying as much as possible to stay afloat, in what ways would you say they need to create that awareness, not just for themselves, but also for their staff when it comes to being disciplined in elevating the company?
I mean, John has given a very simple example. The 60-day craft you started, or you still do, is one way to sustain self-discipline. And if you have a team working with you, and you've done that consistently, and you also put them on that pressure. For instance, you have a social media manager, you have marketing person, and you tell, or a salesperson, and you say, I want you to go on a 60-day challenge, sell every day. The marketing guy, I want you to put up a post every day, as opposed to the 3 times a week thing. And when you do that, what that does for people is they are inspired to continue to work. And when you do that yourself, and then people also see you do that, they understand that whatever you are delivering as value is not fluke. It is coming from a place of sustained discipline. Right? So that's a very simple way to create awareness.
Earlier you mentioned the difference between motivation and discipline, right? Now, I'm really curious as to how habits shape or mar a business. How can they define a business so much so that it can achieve success?
Very, 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 very important question. If you run a business and you are the last person to come to work every day, best believe that at some point the people in the organization will not see punctuality as a desired goal, right? So I remember my very first career job. I mean, my boss, I would always meet my boss at the office. It was crazy. And that built this consciousness in me that if I am going to become what this man is, I have to consistently show up as he does, right? So that's very simple analogy of what our habits also play. If you speak terribly as the leader, you use curse words and all of those things, everybody around you will believe, oh, it's also good to use curse words, right? And those simple actions and inactions are the things that create the habits that people have.
You know, I find that really, really inspiring, because in truth, how you define your business is how your employees will largely take it to be. And so I'm wondering, do you have any such personal experience, John?
Can you come again?
How you define your business is how your employees will take your business. Do you have any such personal experience?
I would think that's true in every way, shape, or form. However, you give an example of the boss coming into the office early. That will necessarily build the culture of people coming to punctuality. But I would say necessarily does not work. It won't work for me that way as a person, because naturally I'm not a morning person, so I can't do it 9 to 5. I will be terrible at it. I've tried it. I was very terrible at it. I'm more of a late night person. So if my staffs or my people sort of look up to me for punctuality, then the organization have the tendency of failing. That is why it's also important you don't employ people that need other people to motivate them.
Wow.
But as an organization, for instance,
I respectfully disagree.
Well, but I mean, we can almost always disagree. I work in the creative industry, and we creatives think differently. We don't act the same way.
Oh yes.
I don't love to be boxed in a corner. If you tell me to do something 9 to 5, I promise you I ain't gonna do it, and that's the truth. Give me the creative license. Tell me this is what I want done. How you do it
is left to you.
So give me a task, give me a KPI, give me something I can measure. not giving me how to do it. Now, if you are telling me how to do it, I mean, you could have done it yourself. So give me a task, then see me do it. No, there's a place for correction and there's a place for, oh, no, you do it this way or you can do it this way. But don't tell me do it this way compulsorily. So you can't tell me to come to work 9 to 5 every day. I mean, respect to everyone coming to work 9 to 5.
That's just not
big
you.
shout out. That's not me. And I'm not sure is any other creative cannot work in that kind of space. We can do all night, midnight, and still be active in the morning and do our thing.
Yeah.
But when is now, I mean...
This is a conversation that I have so many questions for both of you. Unfortunately, because of time, we would have to round this up. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for
Gabriel Balogun, and of course,
you.
John Durojaye. It's been quite an interesting conversation. And I'm still going to ask you about that cost of photography in the UK. But right now, we take pictures, and of course, we also take a look at food. I believe it's time for us to see what's going on in the kitchen. Can we do that? No? Okay, let's take a break then. It's the top of the hour. You're watching Wake Up Nigeria. To stay with us, we'll be right back.